It's now 1 year past Joe Biden's time in office. So what are the ratings that he has? How is he doing in office? Where are we with COVID-19 recovery? And what about the economy? And yes, the 2022 Virginia legislative session is up and going. We'll tune in as we take a look at the state of America and the state of the Commonwealth so far. It's Stay the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville, and we'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back. It's Save the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville. We'd like to welcome all of you who are listening to us on this beautiful Sunday, January 23rd in the year of 2022 here in Hampton Roads. We've got our producer here, DJ Scandalous, Marvin Folks. You can hear him every day, Monday through Friday from 2 to 6 here on WNSB, the soul of VA. Marvin, how are you today?
A little cold, but we're doing great. I'm glad the roads got a little clear, and Norfolk State, the campus is looking great. The parking spots are clear, so everything is good.
That's it. As a matter of fact, you mentioned a little cold. So Hampton Roads just received its largest snowfall, I think in maybe a decade or so.
Yep.
In just really one day. So everything was shut down, and of course, Public Works and emergency management, and here at the university, we all did our part to make sure everybody was safe and enjoyed the snowfall.
That's right.
How gorgeous it was when it came down, but trying to get out again and back and forth, and cars going through car washes today, and I'm taking mine pretty soon as well.
Yes, and please be safe out there on those roads. I mean, saw some reports of, a few accidents and things of that nature. So please take your time while you're out there on those roads. And if you don't have to be out there for any essentials, anything like that, stay home and just take a break.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And not only that, but also we also want our students to be safe. They're back on campus. We want our faculty to be safe. We want everybody to be on safe because we want to have a great year. We want to end the year off phenomenal, just as we started. So with that being said, we again hope that you're continually to remain COVID safe as well. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself, taking care of your health, and making sure that you're watching out for your neighbors as well.
That's right.
So with that being said, we've got a great show today. Now, for those of you that saw our advertisements going out, of course, on campus announcement, internally in the university, on social media, all through, today we're supposed to have the Senate Pro Tem, Senator Luis Lucas, an NSU alum, here on the show. But I just received a phone call about 15 minutes ago that they're in an emergency meeting in the General Assembly. So we're going to reschedule her to come back for our series that we're having here the month of January, February, and March, as we take a look at the view from the General Assembly, from the House to the Senate to the governor's cabinet to constituents. So we're gonna have many guests on. Last week we had the chair of the Virginia Legislative Black Caucus and NSU alum, Delegate Lamont Bagby, and we have NSU has 5 legislators, 5 alums who are in the General Assembly. That's right, 5.
5.
That's the most of any HBCU in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Absolutely phenomenal. So it shows you the value of Spartan Nation, the value of the education you receive here, and it shows you that you can do anything once you leave this campus. And heck, why are you even on the campus? Within the rules and boundaries, students, but you can do anything and change the world. You can change the world. So we're fortunate enough to have her, Senator Luis Lucas, who's also the President Pro Tem, and soon to be the highest ranking state senator after the 22 election. So we're excited about that because of the retirements that are coming up. Also, Senator Lionel Spruill. We also have Delegate Lamont Bagby, as I mentioned before. Delegate Cliff Hayes, who's a great friend of NSU, WNSB, the Center for African American Public Policy, and a good friend of mine, and also Delegate Candy King. So we're really fortunate to have a large delegation there supporting everything that we do. But not only that, just in this immediate area, Hampton Roads, we have other delegates who are not alums, but are connected to this campus that supports us. That's Delegate Angela Williams Graves, also the newly elected delegate who's getting sworn in today, and that's Delegate Jackie Glass, who was on the show before the special election. So she's getting sworn in today for the 89th district, in which Norfolk State University sits in the middle of. Okay, so we're excited for her. Congratulations on being sworn in today. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity because you only get sworn in for the first time only one time.
That's right.
So congratulations to Delegate Jackie Glass, who is being sworn in to the House of Delegates of the Virginia Legislature on today. So with that being said, we want to take a look in our show. Two things we're going to do. In the first half, we're going to take a look at a view from the General Assembly. That's right. The Virginia General Assembly is in full force. We just finished up the first full week, really, of the General Assembly. We're going into the second full week of bills and proposals and of course, a lot of news that comes out because this is where the lawmakers make their news. And then not only that, but then in the second half of the show, we're going to take a look. We're going to take a look at where we are as a nation. So, State of the Commonwealth and State of the Union. We know that Joe Biden has been in office for over a year now, and now we're taking a look and see where we are moving forward. We're going to take a look at the economy, inflation, how it's affecting us here on the ground. If you buy food, if you buy gasoline, if you're looking to buy some new furniture, inflation is hitting all of us, right? But these are all effects of COVID. We're going to take a look at COVID as well, where we are. And we're going to take a look at the stability of the country as relates to the sentiment of the country and also internationally to see how things across seas, more specifically in Ukraine, is going to affect us. So we're going to take a look at these issues that even though we're here locally, all politics is local, but whatever happens in one part of the country, one part of the city, one part of the world affects us right here. So let's get started with a view from the Commonwealth. So we know that our governor, we have a new gubernatorial administration. Of course, Glenn Youngkin was inaugurated on last Sunday. And not only that, but also the new lieutenant governor and the new attorney general. Now, of course, the new attorney general and lieutenant governor both made history as being two individuals from immigrant backgrounds. And of course, a woman being lieutenant governor and a black woman being lieutenant governor. And of course, the attorney general is someone who is also of immigrant background, of Cuban American, who is the attorney general for the state of Virginia. So however you cut it, right? You know, we have made history here in the Commonwealth. And that's one thing that, you know, we can all be proud of, no matter what side of the aisle that you're on. So when we talk about being on the side of the aisle, let's take a look at where we are. So Governor Youngkin gave his State of the Union address. And in his State of the Union address, he talked about his plan for the nation, for our state. Moving the state forward together, moving the state forward as working side by side, moving the state forward from an economic standpoint, educational standpoint, and safety standpoint, and the like. One of the issues that really came out of that we're going to focus on is moving forward from an educational standpoint. Now, under education, you know, he acknowledged the underfunding of our university HBCUs that he stated many times publicly on his campaign trail that he will support our historically black college and university, our great HBCUs, which the Norfolk State University is definitely one of them. And I would dare say the best and the greatest HBCU in the Commonwealth and one of the top 20, according to U.S. News Report, in the nation.
That's right.
So that's fact, right? Hashtag facts. But also, right, it's not only just that, but it's the largest HBCU here in the Commonwealth, led by our 7th president, Dr. Javon Adams Gaston, who's doing a phenomenal job, who I'm fortunate enough to be able to call boss, right? So we call her affectionately Dr. J. But not only just leading from an educational standpoint and making sure that he's supporting our historically black college universities, but there are two main issues that came up, one through K through 12, actually both K through 12, if we take a look at it. And we're going to take a look at these two issues here, and we want to know what you think about it. So make sure you send your comments to @hot91online.
That's our Instagram.
That's our Instagram. And also at wnsbonline.org. So go to those two and let us know what you think at Hot91Online and at WNSB Online. It's our social media. Let us know what you think about these two issues I'm about to discuss as relates to education. The first is charter schools. Right now, the governor has announced and put in his budget amendments to provide $150 million toward the creation of laboratory-style charter schools. Now, let me explain what that is. So charter schools are schools that are specialized, that are not overseen by the public school board, but uses public dollars in order to create, to fund, to run, just like you would a public school itself. Now, there are cities that have taken charter schools and use them as another means of educating students. The cities of Chicago, city of New Orleans. I'm familiar with both because I remember the time when they actually started those charter school takeover, doing that in those cities. And usually they come in where we have what's called challenging school systems, right? But here in the Commonwealth, this conversation took a while to get here. Why did it take a while to get here? Because overall, the Commonwealth of Virginia has very good public education, and I can attest to that because when we had the opportunity to choose the schools for our children, we chose public schools because of what they offered, and we haven't regretted the choice at all. So phenomenal education, but now there are pockets where they say, well, just maybe we need charter schools to give another option. But the other school of thought is, well, instead of taking money from public schools, why don't we put additional money into the public schools in order to not just, we need to pay our teachers better, provide resources to those schools, rebuild the schools, because a lot of our schools are fairly old, over 50 years old, some older than that. Rebuild our infrastructure in our schools so that the schools themselves won't be considered, quote unquote, failing. And I don't like to use the word failing when we talk about our schools, right? Because that means we're failing our children.
Along with adding like some academies.
Yeah, adding academies. Exactly. So you have what's called those specialized schools. So you can focus on STEM, the arts, like whatever. You can focus on those things that are specialized. But here's what happens. One of the other issues that individuals who are opponents of charter schools is that they are selective, which means that certain kids who live in the community can't go to those schools. They have to go to schools outside of their community. Additionally, those charter schools are not subject to the rules of the public school system, just like public schools are. Now, again, that depends upon the state in which they operate, the state legislature, how they draw those rules up. So that in this particular state, this Commonwealth, that is going to be decided. So that hasn't been decided just yet. But overall, individuals believe that another option for their children, those who are proponents or support it, another option for their children is a good thing. More choices is a good thing. And how we fund it is all having existing funds to fund it also tends to work out. In other words, you're not robbing Peter to pay Paul. With that being said, those are your two options. Those are your two arguments, or a few of them, as relates to charter schools. But the proposal is there, is what we call the budget amendments. They are there. So what do you think? What do you think about charter schools in the Commonwealth of Virginia? Do you think that charter schools are a good thing? Do you think that the money, how it's funded, is a good thing? Would you send your kids to charter schools? Did you go to a charter school yourself? And you have a different viewpoint. Let us know. what you think. Again, go to our social media at Hot91 online or at WNSB online. And you can also call in and let us know. 757-823-9110. That's 757-823-9110. Call in and let us know what you think about these charter schools here in the Commonwealth.
So this is to make it so it won't just be like a public versus a private school type of thing?
Exactly. But it kind of operates as that as well. So that's kind of where we're getting that public school versus private school. It is another option. Now, vouchers have always been a conversation, but we don't see it just yet. So they're really kind of banking on the charter schools as it relates to these specific things. Okay. Now, the other issue that I want to talk about, and we mentioned it before, as it relates to K through 12, is CRT, critical race theory. Critical race theory itself, there are individuals that utilize it in order to talk about, well, let's just say drive a wedge between teaching all of history and teaching some of history. I have a good colleague of mine who's a professor here at Norfolk State University. We call him Dr. Derek Lanois, who's a historian, and he has a podcast. It's on Dr. DL. He says, listen, he said, teaching history is not critical race theory. It's simply telling the truth. And that's all it is. It's just telling what happened. So when you tell the whole story of what happened, you're just simply telling what has already taken place, and that's history. But then also, there are those that don't want to tell the whole story. So therefore, you say, listen, let's not tell that side of the story. Let's just tell some of it. Has this happened before in history? Yes. Let's take a look at what happened before. After the Civil War, the Daughters of the Confederacy actually started a campaign in order to create and draft a history about the time of slavery. So therefore, that's where you get the benevolent slave owner narrative, as opposed to the brutality that actually existed during the time period of slavery. You also look at the time period where Birth of a Nation was actually viewed in the White House under, at that time, President Woodrow Wilson, where it then told of the valor, the patriotic nature, and also the bravery and courage of the Confederacy, and more specifically, the Klan. So now we see where history itself started to be rewritten. And a lot of our history, a lot of America's history, was left out. Even to this day, even if we start at slavery, we can go all the way back to the times of the Native people, the Native Americans. There's not a lot that we know about that history. The time before Europeans arrived and the time after Europeans arrived. So these are things that we want to know. These are things that we want to understand and move forward and say, listen, it happened, it's history, but guess what? We can work better to change our future, but we simply can't change our history. Marvin, there's a saying that says, a wise man learns from his mistakes, but a wiser man learns from others' mistakes. We have an opportunity as a nation to be wiser because we can learn from the past mistakes of our fathers, of our mothers, of our relatives, of our leaders of our country, leaders of our states, leaders of our cities, leaders of our communities, and create a better tomorrow. You're listening to Stay in the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville, broadcasting live on the campus of the Norfolk State University on WNSB, the new sound of Hot 91, the soul of VA. Today, we're here in the studio on this wonderful sunny day here in Hampton Roads after a phenomenal snowdrift, right? It wasn't a blizzard, not like they have in other places, but we had a wonderful snowdrift, and the snow is beautiful, the sun beaming off of it, and so forth. Make sure you're careful out there. Today, what we're talking about in the first half of the show, a view on the state of the Commonwealth And in the second half, we're going to look at the State of the Union of the United States. We've discussed two of the executive orders, and also one executive order, and then also one amendment item, that a bill that the governor's office has put up in order to create his agenda for the Commonwealth. And that's currently, as we stated, Governor Glenn Youngkin. In addition to that, we've talked about charter schools. Charter schools is a big deal, not only here in the Commonwealth, that is, the conversation is here, but across the country. They're controversial, but also there are those that believe, listen, we need charter schools. They're a good thing. And others that say, listen, we don't need charter schools. What we should do is simply fix the schools that we have and continue to move forward stronger and better. Also, we talked about CRT, critical race theory, and what history should be taught in our schools. So we ask you to let us know. Let us know your thoughts on what you believe should be taught in our schools, what the stances are as it relates to these issues. Where do you stand as it relates to teaching all of history, the controversy of CRT, or is it a non-controversy? And then also charter schools. So let us know where you stand. You can give us a call, 757-823-9110, or let us know on our social media at Hot91 Online or at WNSB Online. Another budget proposal submitted by Governor Youngkin, and by the way, he submitted 59 amendments within that 2025 budget proposals to the legislature. It was released on Friday. One is where he submits support for what's called Growth for VA Priorities. So Governor Glenn Youngkin proposed more than $100 million. That's $100 million in new state investments to expand college-level internships and promote collaborative development of talent pathways. Now, these two top priorities are being advanced by Growth for VA, which is an initiative of the Virginia Business Higher Education Council. Now, within this proposal, the amendments on internships would add $32 million in new biennial funding, and that's every 2 years, by the way, for innovative internship fund to scale up paid internships and other work-related learning with Virginia-based employers, of course. Also, keep in mind that this is something that has across-the-board bipartisanship support. That means you have individuals on both sides of the aisle, both Democratic and also Republican, who enjoyed this support and aligned their budget amendments with the ones that have been submitted. So the governor aligns these budget amendments with those who have been submitted already, with senators from both sides of the aisle, one senator and also one Democrat, one in the House and one in the Senate. So that means this is a good thing. Now, let's talk about internships. With internships, and Marvin, you've had a lot of great experience.
Yes.
And I've been a witness to your maturation and your journey through your cybersecurity, both undergraduate and graduate degrees. By the governor supporting, the Democrats and the Republicans also supporting increasing paid internships for college students. Tell us, what does that mean for a college student like yourself?
That is tremendous. That means a lot. That gives you an opportunity to focus strictly on your curriculum, your courses. If you land a good internship that can last you for the entire semester, then you work hard to land another one for the next semester, most likely you won't have to work an outside job, because especially if you're in STEM.
Wow.
I mean, you're working with people and companies that'll pay you part-time work, full-time pay.
Wow.
And especially during now with the pandemic, a lot of it's virtually. So it's just really, really convenient. You're getting that experience that you need to go hands-on with your degree program that you're in, and then possibly be a candidate to be picked up by that company. So that is huge that they're doing that.
So the fact that you say that you can get real life experience at a company that you may get an offer from, that you can work from, start your career, and possibly even retire from it, You don't have to go to school and do an unpaid internship and work a job at night.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's phenomenal right there, because all students know that trying to, work a job off campus, non-virtually is tough. And especially if you get in one of those jobs where, they may not understand how education works. A lot of people look at school as, oh, you're just sitting behind a desk, you're not really working too hard. So when you go into your job that's not really education based or whatnot, they may not understand that, hey, I'm a little tired because I had to study all last night. I'm a little fatigued because I have to study tonight, opposed to when you're in that internship, they already understand, hey, we grabbed you straight from your program, so we understand what you're going through. So we're not going to work you too hard, but we're going to give you just enough experience to where we're going to pay you and you might be a possible candidate. So that's phenomenal.
Wow. Can you tell us at least one or two, one each in undergrad and one in graduate school, paid internships that you've had that you say, hey, it's added to my experience and giving you the opportunity that you didn't think you would have as a cybersecurity professional now?
Okay. So I had several last year, but one of them, which was my first one that I had this time last year, was with COVA's CCI. That's the Center for, it's the Coastal Virginia Center for Cyber Innovation institution. And that's Norfolk State. They partnered with Old Dominion with that one. And I landed a cybersecurity internship with a company called Peregrine Technical Solutions. They're based out of Yorktown, Virginia. And we did the cybersecurity risk management plans for 14 different universities for their marine sciences research vessels, for their ships. So there are many universities, which I just learned, have their own ships. Wow. For the marine sciences. So these marine scientists, they're out there in the ocean and, doing what they do. Yeah. But now the government is saying, hey, we need for y'all to be in compliance with the same type of situation that the DOD or with the Navy that they have. So I work with the International Maritime Organization to make sure that they're up to par when it comes to their cybersecurity for even just on a university level.
Wow. That's phenomenal. And again, that just gives real life example of the good idea that this is, that we don't have any arguments about investing in our college students, because we have an example here with Marvin folks, and also it shows that it works. So we got the governor, we got the Democrats and the Republicans agreeing, hey, let's invest in our college students to keep them here, to give them that real life experience, and therefore creating a talent pathway for our best and brightest educated to our best companies to retain that Virginia-based education to grow together. I love it. So this shows that, listen, the government, it works, right?
Trust me.
The legislative process works. So we're still, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. The governor has to sign all this in March, but based upon the support, it is a done deal. A couple of quotes here on this, and we're going to move past it. But according to Peter Blake, who is the State Council of Higher Education Director, he said that broadly available internships are an important part of our strategic plan to make Virginia the best state for education. Dr. Makola Abdullah, who is the chairman of the Council of Presidents and also president of Virginia State University, said that the investment proposed today by Governor Youngkin is an affirmation of our efforts and will advance us toward that goal. So once again, this is good stuff. It is supported across the board. So once again, the governor released his legislative agenda priorities on Friday. Well, actually, on the 21st, actually, of this month. And with that, he released 59 pieces of legislation and a package that included more than 25 budget amendments that he is supporting. So this says that this press release, it reflects bipartisan priorities like fully eliminating the grocery tax, doing more to train and equip our workforce. We just talked about that. And providing to create new innovative schools across the Commonwealth. We talked about that with charter schools. And also he says that this will make Virginia's community safer, restore academic excellence, lower the cost of living, and look forward to seeing these bills pass. So we're going to revisit some of this in the second half hour, but we're also going to take a look at the state of America, because this plays right into where we are moving forward. Once again, this is Stay in the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville, and I want you to come back and stay tuned to us as we discuss the state of the Commonwealth and the state of the Union. We'll be back in just a moment.
Program support sponsored in part by Portsmouth Fire Rescue and Emergency Services.
Portsmouth Fire Rescue and Emergency Services is hiring, and they need you. Become a firefighter with the City of Portsmouth. They have career opportunities for paramedics, EMTs, military, veterans, and career options for recent college graduates. Visit their recruitment page at fire.portsmouthva.gov. Portsmouth Fire Rescue and Emergency Services needs you.
I want to get back to kissing the cheeks of my grandbabies, making Sunday dinner with a house full of family and lots of laughs.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the very first step that let us get back to what we miss most. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I wait? Now, get the facts. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back. It's Stay in the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville, where we bring movers, shakers, policymakers to you to discuss issues important to the community. We want to thank all of you who are joining us here on this beautiful Sunday in Hampton Roads, Virginia. Yes, we had a snowfall, some of the largest amounts of snow we've had in years here on the peninsula from Virginia Beach all the way up to Williamsburg, the peninsula area. But today, streets are clear. The sun is out and the snow is pretty. So again, enjoy yourself out there. Make sure that you're remaining safe. Make sure you're remaining COVID safe as well, because we're going to get through this. We're getting through it. We're out operating, but we want to make sure that we're remaining healthy. And you're also watching after your neighbor, because we are our brother and sister's keeper while we are here. For those of you that saw our announcement for our show today, President Pro Tem Senator Louise Lucas, and NSU alum, was to be our special guest. But before the show, I was advised that there was an emergency meeting that was called for the legislature. So we're going to reschedule her as we continue our series of review from the legislature, the Virginia General Assembly, the month of January, February, and March, because this is the Virginia Legislative. The General Assembly session has started. So stay tuned. Every week we'll have a different legislator on to talk about what's going on the Hill, what's happening, and how does it affect our community, your community, and more specifically, as we are broadcasting live from one of the greatest universities in the country and in the Commonwealth, the Norfolk State University, from the new sound of Hot 91, the soul of VA. So in the first half hour, we talked about Governor Glenn Youngkin's priorities. We looked and we cherry-picked a few of them out just to kind of, give us a little idea of where we're moving. So we talked about three in the first half hour. One was we talked about charter schools and, as the press release said, innovative type schools. And we looked at the arguments, some of them, those that support and those that are against, and asked ourselves, what is your opinion? Not only that, but we talked about history and how it affects K through 12 and how this may affect our history books moving forward with the CRT as a wedge separating communities, parents, educators about how much of our history should we teach. And then finally, we looked at a bipartisan proposal of supporting our college students with real and expanding our workforce by creating talent pathways, by offering internships that are paid for students to get real life experience with companies that they just may work for one day, so that we can be known as one of the best states for education. And our producer here, DJ Scanless, also known as Marvin Folks, let us know about his two experiences that he had in his cybersecurity journey, both in undergrad and graduate school. So we came to the conclusion that I know we fight back and forth across the aisle and in the middle, but it works, right? Overall, it works. Once again, we're not going to go through all of them, but I just want to pick up just a little bit before we go into the state of the country, the state of the union. I want to just let you know that Governor Youngkin announced his legislative agenda priorities. It was released by press release, which here is 59 pieces of legislation. In addition to that, more than 25 budget amendments that he will be supporting. Now, keep in mind that this was part of his initiatives that he's supporting to further his day one priorities. Now, we've talked about this before. We've had discussions on his day one priorities. We've had discussions about what he wanted to do. And he's living up to a lot of those, so there's no surprise to anyone. But we want you to stay informed. Stay informed. You can go and subscribe. You can subscribe to the governor's press releases. Just go to governor.virginia.gov. That's governor.virginia.gov. And once you go there, you can sign up for email blasts. You can sign up for the press release, and you can get all the information about the government, our Commonwealth, that you want to get from the governor's office. So one thing about information is that we've got a lot of great information here, and it's there right at your fingertips. So you can be informed about what is going on. And we want you to be informed because we believe that a more well-informed community is a good community, especially when it relates to voting. Not only that, but you can also go to virginiageneralassembly.gov. That's virginiageneralassembly.gov, and you can see what's going on in the state legislature. Matter of fact, you can click on it. You can stream all of the committee hearings, all of the House and Senate hearings, things that are happening on the floor. You can live stream it. And you might just catch a glimpse of me because I'm sitting in those committee meetings, back and forth. So you can hear what's going on. You can go to the archives, review those videos, and know what's happening in your state for you and also in your community. We also want to congratulate our very own of the 89th District, which Norfolk State University sits in the middle of, Delegate Jackie Glass, who is being sworn in today in Richmond for her being the new elected delegate in the special election where former Delegate Jay Jones actually resigned his position to explore other options for him. But he said this won't be the last that you see of him. You'll probably look for another run for Attorney General. So again, congratulations to Jackie Glass. Also to all the other delegates that are sworn in. A.C. Cardoza in Hampton on the Peninsula was sworn in on yesterday, and all the others who are being sworn in to take office and to help lead our great Commonwealth here in Virginia. So I want you to go back and, like I said, take a look at the legislative agenda, take a look at things that are happening here in the Commonwealth, what the governor is supporting, and what our legislators are supporting. All right, second half, State of the Union, State of America. Well, Marvin, I said early in the show, I said, look, if you go buy gas, if you buy food, if you're out there buying goods and services, maybe some new furniture or what the case may be, you're seeing a little price increase.
That's very true. And hopefully it'll balance out with the increase of minimum wage. Hopefully.
Yeah. That's always an issue of, will price increase itself help to balance out the wage increase and vice versa? Well, as a matter of fact, in an opinion article in the New York Times, it says that President Biden's economy is failing the Big Mac test. Now, what is that? Over the years, according to this opinion article, the value of wages that workers take home basically is a metric that that measures the health of the American economy. And a lot of times, to make it, of course, there's a lot of variables that go into economics and understanding how the economy is doing, the health of it. Is it inflation? Is it deflation? Is the dollar itself gaining, or is it losing its value? There's a lot that goes into it: supply, demand, and the like. But to make it very simple, there's something that was developed over the course of time called the Big Mac Index, right? So the Big Mac Index itself is that where most Americans, they basically take their paycheck. And when you look at it, you ask yourself, how many hamburgers, could you buy with this? Or in other words, does my money go as far as it did when I drive up to the McDonald's window? And economists look at this to see what type of food that you're buying. So here, according to the economists, is that right now the economy is failing the Big Mac test. That means that your dollar is not going as far as it did a year ago. Well,
wow, in just a year?
Just a year ago. Now, many would say that, of course, we had stimulus, okay? Others would say that we also had
unemployment,
and so forth. So we're seeing ourselves come out of that. Stimulus is being drawn back, okay? And the wages have gone up, but also goods have gone up. But now we're simply waiting for the seesaw to come back and settle, right? So if you look at the economy as a seesaw, you had one high and one goes low, and then all of a sudden you get to a point where you start to settle. And that's what we're waiting on. So the seesaw has swung in the other direction. So we're simply getting ready for it to come back and meet in the middle. So that's the point where we are. But I know that's a simple way to explain it, but does that help you when you pull up to the gas station to fill up with $3 gallon of gas, right? It's like, well, when is the seesaw coming back? And that's something that we're all waiting on. But of course, as we continue to operate in society, you'll look up and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Gas is below $3 again. And you can then celebrate what has taken place. So the key is we got to be patient and wait for the economy itself to correct itself. There's another issue out there. And when we take a look at the state of the union, and that's supplies. We saw photos and pictures and social media posts of the shelves in various grocery stores that we normally shop during the time period of getting prepared for the snowstorm, right? And how they were very bare. But there are others, even before the snowstorm, they said, well, I would order something or I would go into the store to search for it, and they wouldn't have quite that. Or they have something different. I usually don't eat that or use that brand, but I had to get it because that's all they had. So we're seeing it's called a supply shortage. So that means that the demand is very high. And again, we're talking economics again. The demand is very high, but the supply is lower than the demand. For those of us that were paying attention, when the economy started getting back on track after the shutdown was lifted, because keep in mind, we're coming out of COVID. And we're going to talk about COVID last because that's the overarching piece that has us here and talking about these issues of inflation, supply and demand, and some other things that we're going to talk about moving forward. And there were ships out there. They showed supply ships that were shipping goods from across seas, and they were out there in the harbor just waiting to come to shore to download, to get those goods to the stores. So the goods are there. We need the trucks, we need the drivers, we need the ability to download them, to get them to the stores, and the workers, Marvin, to work in the stores to get those goods to the people that are demanding it. So therefore, again, we're looking at economics here, supply and demand. So you want something, but it's not quite there that you usually get, but it's usually always there. So you're having to get something different or not get that thing at all. And now we have to wait until the supply starts to meet where the demand is. So have you been listening, or you have friends or family members, you've been hearing anything on the radio, Marvin, where people are saying, hey, there's something, I can't get what I really need?
Oh, yeah. I've experienced that this week right before this snowstorm hit, man. You get to a point where you're now driving around in so many different stores. Now you're wasting gas and you're seeing the same result in different stores. You're going to look for this specific brand that you want, and it may be because of a price that you want to stay at. Mm-hmm. But now it doesn't matter about the price now to this point because you spent that money in the gas that you use trying to get to the other stores looking for this brand. So, yeah, it's definitely a high demand for certain brands and certain types of food that you may eat or whatnot, and the supply is low even now.
Absolutely. So,
and some discontinued.
That's right. So we're all having to adjust, and it seems like we're all having to adjust sometimes on the fly. But once again, what the overarching issue is COVID. So let's talk about COVID. We're coming out of a season of COVID where we had this new virus that we've never seen before that impacted the entire world. First of all, I think that's absolutely amazing that one airborne virus can impact the entire planet. Not just humans, but also animals. Animals were being impacted by COVID as well, as being carriers of COVID and then back and forth. So with that being the case, the world shut down, and we forget this. We're coming up on 2 years in March where the world shut down, halted. How you shut down the world, I don't know, but we did it. Shut down the world economy. Everybody hunkered in place until we could figure this thing out. And we started operating with what's called, with caution, mass. Started operating virtually. But we continued to operate until we got to a point where we had this thing called science, medicine, research to create a miracle in vaccines. And vaccines were made available not to every single person in the United States. President Biden stated that we have enough doses for everyone, every citizen to receive a full dose. That is amazing. And we have enough to send that we're donating across the world. In order to prevent us from either getting the coronavirus or getting too sick to where it will take our lives or we'll be hospitalized. That's phenomenal. Record time, not because we were sloppy with it, but because the advancement of research actually made that possible. So within itself, we're at a point now where we're out and about. We're able to operate in society. We're still wearing masks, still being careful in the midst of a lot of people, but we are operating. As a matter of fact, I was talking with someone the other day and I was saying, you know what? I said, the world shut down, but we were able to still operate virtually. We worked from home, had meetings from home,
school from home. We could order groceries from home. We could order clothing items from home. And thank God we had what I call true heroes that delivered our groceries, delivered our goods, and did everything still in the midst of that. And my hat goes off to all of those. The cashiers working in the grocery stores with people hovering over them. Some that didn't want to wear a mask at first, still don't. Others that, just were belligerent, but they stayed and they worked and they worked and they worked. Hats off to them. Those were our true heroes. But we're coming up on 2 years. And now we have this new variant of COVID, Omicron. Now, some research says it's peaking and it's going to plateau. But then we know that we're going to get new variants over the course of time, right? So more than likely, COVID-19, according to some researchers, will be with us and will be inoculated against it, just like polio, just like chicken pox, just like all the other diseases. Shingles. Yeah, all the other diseases that are out there. So again, we're still following the science. I want you to do your research and make sure that you follow what's good for your health and the health of others. But those are the facts. Those are the facts. But that is affecting the economy. That is affecting inflation, the price of goods and services, and it's also affecting the approval rating for President Biden. As a matter of fact, President Biden himself, his job, according to NBC News, his job rating eroded just 15%, right? Where Americans strongly approve of his job performance, compared to 43% who strongly disapprove and 5% who believe his presidency has been better than expected. So throughout his first year, we've seen where he's had some challenges in the approval itself. His overall rating among adults stand at 43% approve, but 54% disapprove. And it's unchanged in essence from October's survey, where among registered voters, it was 43% that approve and 54% disapprove. So 6 in 10
According to this article, what's more, 6 in 10 disapprove of Biden's handling of the economy, while more than half of him give a thumbs down on dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. You know, when I listen to those numbers and I take a look at it, you really just can't take a look at numbers and make your full decision on whether you approve or disapprove of someone. You have to take a look at the actions of the people and the actions of those who are around you, right? So if individuals, according to science, we can have herd immunity. If individuals get inoculated, then the variants will stop becoming as frequent and as severe. You know, but you have individuals who are fighting against being vaccinated, individuals who are fighting against wearing masks, individuals who are fighting against just ensuring that they're taking all the precautions necessary according to their health, according to their health, to protect themselves and also others. So is it all Biden's fault, or do we share a part in this? What can we do as citizens in order to help move forward our country, our community, and the world to get through this pandemic? Let us know what you think. Go to WNSBonline.org and let us know your thoughts on what we can do. Your thoughts about President Biden's approval rating. How's he doing? What does he need to do to move forward to do better? Also, go to EdHot91 online and let us know your thoughts on what we should do to ensure that we get through this together. Marvin, I want to focus. I want to take a quick shift here because there's one thing that individuals are very upset about, and it was something that was campaigned on and something that we believe, a lot of people believe, I believe it, should happen that affects all of us. And that is the voting rights bill in Congress that actually failed. So, according to CBS News, Senate Democrats failed to change rules on filibuster in order to pass the voting rights legislation. Now, also according to The Guardian, Seth Meyers on failed voting rights bills said Republicans are waging war on democracy. So, and then another comment we're going to take a look at, according to The Insider, Mitch McConnell says black Americans vote just as much as Americans. I'm sorry, black people vote just as much as Americans. So we're going to deal with voting in this last 10 minutes because this is a major, major issue. So after all of the campaigning, after all of the issues of voting in 2020 that was created in large part by former President Trump, according to records that we have now being subpoenaed by the J6 Commission, which of course J6 now stands for the insurrection that took place on January 6th in 2021, right? So it shows that there was a false narrative created to say that the election was stolen, that the election itself, we had a lot of bad ballots, people voting more than they should and the like. But according to the records, everything turned out. This is one of the safest elections. It was the most participated election in the history of elections. And this was an election where more people voted and exercised their right to vote through different means than any other time in our country, and it was all safe. But also, we saw where in various states such as Georgia, North Carolina, Texas, Florida, and several others, where they actually tried to stop individuals from being able to vote in those certain ways, such as mail-in ballots, such as shortening the time that you can go to the polls and vote, such as passing laws to make it illegal to give somebody water or food while they're in line standing to vote, or they couldn't have a chair to sit down, decreasing the amount of polling places that individuals could go and vote on. We saw all of this happen, and still we are now at an impasse where we have no Republicans who are working that will vote for the John Lewis voting rights bill. that will help to, number one, restore the protections of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which basically restores the formula for pre-clearance and allows the Office of Civil Rights of the Department of Justice to now vet any changes to voting by states that were covered or by the 1965 Civil Rights Act, which basically discriminated against African Americans, women, and other persons of color. We also see where to provide more protections to existing laws and requirements for voting in the John Lewis Voting Rights Act failed. Why did it fail? Number one, no Republicans wanted to support it. And number two Democratic senators did not. They supported the bill. I want to make sure we hear this correctly. They supported the bill, but did not support the process of eliminating the filibuster rule, which means that you needed a certain amount of votes in order to get the bill to the floor to be voted on to pass, as opposed to a simple majority in which the Democrats would have, with 50 senators voting, with the vice president breaking any tie that would be there. They did not agree with changing the rule of the filibuster and taking up the voting rights bill in order to vote on it. Now, the history of the filibuster, I'm not going to go into it, but the filibuster itself was created in part to stop a lot of the civil rights amendment. It was used in part to stop a lot of the civil rights acts and law and amendments that were created during the time of the 1960s and 70s. So that is a rule itself that helped to prevent a lot of positive change within our country. In addition to that, one of the senators, their state actually censured them because of them not wanting to change the rules. Now, let's take a look at the other side of the aisle. The other side of the aisle, Mitch MCConnell himself, changed the rules in order to get all of the conservative judges and justices to the federal bench. Rule that had been in place for over 200 years. He said, we're good. We're going to change it. Why? Because in politics, it's a game of chess and a game of power. Not only do you have to be strategic, you have to be patient, you have to be knowledgeable, but you also have to understand that political power is fleeting. When you have it, you got to use it, because you never know when you're going to ever get it again, if you ever do. So you see one side that took advantage of it. Now, I did a show called Justice McConnell last year. You don't have to like him, but you got to respect what he does to get things done for his side. So he took care of business with the conservative judges and justices. But unfortunately, on the Democratic side, you have another example where it was not the same process. In other words, they did not move to change the rules. So that's politics. And then finally, on Mitch McConnell stated, when talking about voting rights, he says, we don't need this bill because black people voted just as much as Americans. Now, some people say, you took it out of context, and he did respond to it. But at the same time, that speaks volumes. That says that's a statement that's reminiscent of many other statements where black people are not looked upon as being Americans. I'll say this is our country. Our people, our ancestors built it. Our people, our ancestors fought and bled for it. Our people, our ancestors ensured that we continue to play a major part in the upbuilding of these United States of America. This is our country. This is our time. And we have the opportunity and the obligation to do what's best for it. So yes, black Americans voted just as much as all other Americans, but we can vote more. That's why we need the voting rights bill. act in order to pass, and we need to ensure that our legislators work together with the people that put them in office to ensure that our country continues to be strong, not for now, but also in the future. Well, that's it, everybody. This is State of the Water. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Claville. Join us every Sunday at 1 o'clock as we talk about issues that are important to your community. As we continue our legislative session, our view from the General Assembly, tune in. Until then, be blessed, be safe. See you next time.